We see President William Ruto becoming a president in as much 2007, 2008 elections. They were all united in ODM party together with Raila Odinga. We see many politicians, just to name but a few, Aisha Juma, who once worked with Raila Odinga, Isaac Mwaura, Hassan Joho, to name but a few, among many politicians who have betrayed and given Judas Kiss to Right Honorable Raila Odinga. And for recent, just after 2022 elections, we've seen even the list extending and even bringing in more and more politicians who've been coming in to betray Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. Now, just before we dive in and more into our study, into our discussion today, this brings something that you can note out of politics. That in politics, for sure, we don't have permanent friends and we don't have permanent enemies. So today I can be your friend in politics, or rather, and tomorrow I will be your enemy. They term this and say that it's change on interests. This interest can be personal interests or interests for the public. And now, after 22 general election, we see the political developments coming up. Raila Odinga losing the elections. There's Azimio trying to see the possibilities that maybe made them to lose elections. Some being pointed out to betrayal by those who are close to Raila Odinga, who did not, for sure, perform according to how they were tasked and what they were being asked to deliver according to 2022 general elections. Now, moving on, the core principle, we have Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, of Azimio coalitions. And now we've gone to demonstrations. We saw some participating. Some did not even appear in any public forum to stand with Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. So we're going to demonstrations, we're seeing what's happening, innocent Kenyans losing their lives, businesses closing down, and many things happening. And it gave birth to the national dialogue. Here, the Kenya Kwanza coalition is being represented by Kimani Ichung'wah and others, while the leader for Azimio is Kalonzo Musyoka. So the national dialogue, or the debate, or the conversation, whichsoever name you may be calling it, has given some resolutions. Resolutions, number one, is to be created an office for the opposition leader. And number two, to be created a position for the Prime Cabinet Secretary to the amendment of the Constitution. And if by this development we say that that's going to happen and an office for the opposition is going to be created up, and then we're going to see another betrayal falling for Raila Odinga. We have Martha Karua, who for recent has come out saying that the national dialogue should not be taking long. By now, it should have been determined what the national dialogue have, so that politicians have time to plan their next step, what to move on, and what to do next. Now, Martha Karua is saying that the time is taking long, and Kimani Ichung'wah is asking for the extension for another 30 days. And by this, she has become impatient of what the discussions are, of what's happening there. And by her impatience, gives me a reason to say why we should expect another betrayal. One, she and other Mount Kenya leaders launched a broker firm, or a broker group, known as Kamwene Political Forum. Now here in Kamwene, they are open for any side of the bulls. So when I talk about the two bulls, we understand is William Ruto, the president, and Raila Odinga, who want to enjoy and get the benefits of Mount Kenya. Now they have a broker here now, the Kamwene acting as a broker. So where Martha Karua is the leading. So from the dialogue, or from the national debate at Bomas, if it's agreed that we're going to have office of the opposition. And maybe we want to have the office of the deputy opposition. Now, a question we'll be asking ourselves: who will be the official deputy prime or the official deputy opposition leader? Now that obviously the opposition leader will be Raila Odinga. Now, who will be his deputy? You tell me in the comment section. So many will be saying that Kalonzo Musyoka, now that is the one leading the conversation and the dialogue, will get high percentage or will get a high opportunity to become the deputy opposition leader. And by that, it will be sorted out. And where will Martha Karua be? Where will her role be and where will she play her cards? So you find here that maybe she has realized that post the national dialogue, her seat or her position in Azimio or in the opposition will not be anymore. At first, others will say that she did not deliver from Mount Kenya region. So something maybe will make her not to be considered as the deputy opposition leader. And second, it could be noted that she's far from the national dialogue conversation. Now that Kalonzo Musyoka is the one leading the conversation from Azimio's side. So this will narrow down her chances of becoming the deputy opposition leader. And if this happens, you want to see that she will be forced. You know, in politics, nothing happens. Nothing unplanned happens. So everything must be well planned. And maybe the Kamwene Forum that she led could be an exit plan from Azimio to betray Raila Odinga and maybe move to Kenya Kwanzas. We'll be trying to see the possibilities of these formations. Now then, if chances are going to be that she's not going to be made the deputy opposition leader and her space in Azimio in opposition will not be any near. Now she'll be forced using the Kamwene Forum. Now that Rigathi Gachagua wants to unite Mount Kenya region. Now using the Kamwene Forum, they'll be coming up with again another reason as to why they... And if by chance this happens, and then what about Raila Odinga? We've seen Raila Amolo Odinga is very comfortable with the discussions or with the debate that's happening out at the national dialogue. So at Bomas, these conversations and everything all around, Raila Amolo Odinga is very confident about what's happening, the developments, and far moving to the far corners, what's happening around. So it's Raila is comfortable with the dialogue. Kalonzo is very comfortable. Now it's Martha Karua is not comfortable with this that's happening here. Now, and these ones maybe would be bringing a new developments in politics and something that we'll want to see and see more and more into others. We see the likes of Moses Kuria, the Kanini Kega, Sabina Chege, and other Rigathi Gachagua recently meeting up with the Mount Kenya billionaires in a golf event. So these developments will give us another political betrayal if they go as by what we sing and by what we are anticipating, what would be before the Azimio, a breakout, and maybe the Martha Karua betrayal to Raila Amolo Odinga. So that, if we go by that, it would be giving us another political development. Now that politics does only happen, it's being created, it's a script that will be acted upon exactly how it ought to be and moving far to the end. Now, thank you for this time that we're trying to see the possibilities post-national dialogue debate, what will be coming up, what's for Raila Odinga if he gets the opposition seat, it'll be sorted out and it'll be very comfortable. Now, the big question, who will be the official deputy opposition leader in Kenya. And chances are that Kalonzo Musyoka has been the ringleader for the debate. He might be chosen, or he might take that responsibility or that space. Now, what about Martha Karua? Where is her role? Where is her space? And if her space is left out and she does not have any space, meaning that she will lack somewhere to go, and if she lacks somewhere to go, through Kamwene, she will be having discussions with the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, on how to see a possible formation that will make her being sorted in the government, or possibly she'll want to wait up to 2027 and maybe have the presidential candidates. You know that now that Mount Kenya must produce a presidential candidate come in 2027, either by the split of the relationship between the President William Ruto with Rigathi Gachagua, if the coalition does not go far and Rigathi decides to move out, he might want to run for the presidency then, or from Martha Karua, now that she's seen things will not be working with Azimio, she might want her or herself with other politicians to come and defend themselves in the 2027 presidential elections. So these are only analysis, these trying to see the possible formulations that will come up. And if you have your own comments, if you have your own views, let us know, so that this can be helpful to our leaders in making good policy formations and even what we expect out of politics. Thank you. My name is Emmanuel Posire.
We want to add our voices as a group in condemning the actions of the KK illegitimate regime, which we find clueless and insensitive. The manner in which they are handling national affairs has caused untold suffering to a majority. The recent hike in fuel prices have hit hardest among the very vulnerable. Hiking the price of kerosene by 33 shillings at one go is totally insensitive. And we notice this is happening when Kenyans are already under a burden of high taxation and worsening economic conditions. It is also a time of high joblessness. I think we all witnessed in Embakasi yesterday thousands who came looking for only 350 jobs. So we know this is a time when most households do not even have a single person having formal employment. We therefore feel that this is insensitive and against the people. We notice that the taxation on a liter of fuel is 79 shillings, which makes it just 40% of the price. So it is not true to tell Kenyans that the hike in fuel prices is dictated by the high oil prices around the world. We do remember KK promising during the campaigns, and particularly this was by Ruto, that the multiple taxation on fuel was unreasonable, and the promise to do away with most of this taxation, that promise has turned to be a hoax. The regime has failed to prioritize the basic needs of Kenyans, such as health, education, and food. On the issue of education, we note that many children are out of schools because they cannot afford fees. Those who reported, many have been sent home, and the parents are unable to get them back. For university students, it's a terrible time because the KK regime has opted to abolish the system that has been tried and tested, worked for years, where every child, irrespective of their social standing, was entitled to a student loan. That is what educated those in KK and most of us. And that is what equalized the poor and the rich, children of the poor and the rich, because all had an equal chance of joining university, courtesy of the loan. Now we have a situation where university will be a preserve of the rich, and where the KK regime introduces a system where they are able to discriminate in issuance of the loans. We do not know what they will be using. I was just wondering whether it will be the height, the social circumstances, or is it by name that they will be issuing the loans. This is totally unacceptable. We also notice rising insecurity, and we particularly point to Lamu, where people have been brutalized, killed, and their businesses and houses destroyed. The many incidents of insecurity in northern Kenya and other parts of the country. We would want to see sufficient security personnel deployed in these areas instead of employing police to harass people. The dreaded and newly minted SSU police squad, that is Special Service Support Unit, which harassed, maimed, and killed Kenyans during the demonstration, is the one that is now being used politically to harass Kenyans. And you remember a recent incident where a businessman was abducted. And only days ago when Maina Jenga was abducted by this very unit. And we are alerting Kenyans to know that there is now a political wing of the police out to harass those who dissent. And I would tell my colleagues here, beware, because we've seen Uhuru targeted, we've seen Maina Jenga targeted. Next, it could be any of us or any other dissenting figures in the country. On the ongoing dialogue, we notice that one of the priority items was cost of living. It still remains cost of living, electoral justice, and respect for political parties. KK has not shown any signs of taking these issues seriously. The cost of living and the spike in fuel prices has spiked when the talks are supposed to be commencing to deal with those very issues. Cessation of harassment of dissenting voices, and also respect for political parties. We have seen Ruto himself embracing those who have been disciplined by political parties. We are telling our team, kindly be woke. Be woke, so that if the KK regime is not serious in these talks, then we should know of our next move.